Hello everyone, have a good day. I hope you're doing well. So this is a quick video in order to react about the polemic of over Behringer the last times. I feel myself like diving in because there are so many things that are not being said, and also to react to other videos that I've seen on YouTube lately, so we can check it out together. Stick around. R1 Productions. So before we start, I want to make clear this is not meant to offend anybody, but let's start for the first. Every one of you probably have a regular job, and that job is the one who is sponsoring your stuff, is sponsoring your gear, your plugins, your DAW or whatsoever. This is something that they don't mention in any of these videos. Of course, super expensive gear is meant to be for those that are selected by God almost. And of course we are agreed that it is not like that. Everyone has a different budget, everyone has a different possibilities, but therefore doesn't mean that you can't get your music sounding good right away. So today I've got for you, first of all, a blind test. So I want you to check this sound. And now I want you to hear this one. So do you hear any differences over there? Alright, I'd like you to hear these sources once again, and I will tell you which one is A, B at the moment that they switch. So this is A. This is B. Backing A. B once again. So, did you hear any differences in there? I hope you do, because this is about what is going in the video today. So basically, those are the two videos that made Oliver Shellito. I will leave you the links down below, or maybe here on top. And they are comparing the universal audio plugin of the NIF compressor that Behringer actually have cloned against the original unit from Behringer. But there is not enough, because you have to compare apples to apples. And the second track, where I was A-Bing the stuff, is actually the real NIF, the real deal, against the copy of Behringer. So as you can hear, almost imperceptible, a little bit of top end according to him. You just have to get your own conclusions. The thing is that Behringer is making affordable, good quality stuff, and people are just shooting it down. So I also want you to dive in to the purest of non-Behringer products. Let's have a side to this video together.
Pretty much a dead-on clone. Right? But the 6176 is based on designs from the 1960s and 1970s.
We won't watch it together completely here, but video will be on the description down below.
And let me tell you, the patents those are based upon are as expired as Jacob Marley's ghost. So legally and even ethically, believe it or not, Behringer is in the clear, but somehow they're still the bad guys. Now, why is that? Why are Behringer the bad guys? Well, you probably know the answer to this, or at least you probably have an idea why. Now let's address that big old elephant in the room, all right? Behringer has earned quite a bit of a, let's just call it sleaze factor over the years. From questionable business practices to social media antics, they've given people plenty of reasons to view them with skepticism, to say it very lightly. And that's fair, because if you're side-eyeing Behringer because of their past behavior, I totally get it. But let's not confuse their reputation with the legality or ethics of what they're doing now, okay? Let's not forget, Universal Audio, right? The victim here in this alleged intellectual property crime that has been committed. Universal Audio, right? Technically, they are making clones too. The 6176 is based on the 1176 compressor and the 610 preamp, which UA did not invent, right? Bill Putnam invented the 610. or designed it or whatever he did. But the Universal Audio Company, right, acquired the company, Teletronics, that invented the 1176. So in a way, right, UA is also profiting from designs they didn't create, but legally were able to copy. You know, back then they had to purchase the intellectual property rights, or they obtained them when they purchased Teletronics.
And that's where you wonder, why too many clones out there of 1176s, Teletronics, etc. Pultec is also a lot of clones out there. And how is it possible that you get both of them, software and hardware, a lot of copy of plenty of them? And how is it possible that, because Behringer is copying one thing once again, making chip from China, okay, according to those purists? Because let's face it, many things of these units are made of PCB, same as the ones that I have here. Pro-VLA, Pro-MPA. I mean, those are things that are good, they give you good quality, but you cannot expect any such hard wiring out of it, or super expensive transformers, because there is actually where the sauce is. But that doesn't mean that they are bad. Actually, just for information, the ART brand is a standard in any studio nowadays. How do I know it? Well, I spent barely the last 3 years watching a lot of Facebook groups, YouTube videos, and a lot of people are just nice for it. As I always said, for cheap or for expensive, it always will be in any standard studio for quality results. Let's continue with the video.
But they didn't invent it. They didn't create it. They were just able to legally make it. Now, does that make them sleazy? Well, that doesn't, not necessarily, right? But it does complicate the narrative that Behringer is the only copycat in the room. It does. It definitely complicates the high ground here, because this is the thing. What I love about all these forum arguments and everything that people are making. Oh man, I find it very entertaining. Is that here's where the hypocrisy kicks in? Because I see the same people who say I'd never buy a Behringer clone because they didn't invent it. You know, I mean, are you also using generic pharmaceuticals? Are you taking, off the shelf ibuprofen?
I know you will have a different opinion in this one, but please leave it in the comments below. Remember, it's not my opinion, it's what we're watching together in the video. Links in the description below.
And are you buying aftermarket car parts or having them used in your car, or even using that computer mouse we just talked about? Does it matter to you that those were not sold to you by the companies who innovated it, right? Or do you even think about that?
Also, I'm gonna advance this into the legal part that I saw from this video. Very interesting. I don't know anything of it, but if you know, please leave it in the comments below or go to the video and address it up.
Oh, blah, 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 right? Oh, and just before we go down the road too far with trade dress, here's another key point. Copyright law doesn't apply here. Copyright as outlined in the law, specifically, right, I'll quote, it's from 17 U.S.C. section 102. Copyright protects original works of authorship, things like music, art, and literature, but it doesn't cover functional items or designs. So even if Behringer clones look similar to the originals, there's no copyright issue at play. The only potential legal issue here is trade dress. And this is where things get really interesting, because trade dress refers to the visual appearance of the product, right? Like I said, it's design, packaging, overall look that signifies its source. For example, if Behringer made the 676 look exactly like the UA 6176, including a faceplate that looked like the UA logo, right? If you're talking about the branding being very similar, UA could potentially argue trade dress infringement. But here is the thing, all right? Behringer has been pretty careful in avoiding trade dress lawsuits of the original products. They might get close, but they make enough little changes to avoid legal trouble. And on the 6176, it has a broader part in the middle of the faceplate for like the switches and the little power on light. And Behringer moved that over to the right of the front panel. Just a couple of little minor things, right? So,
well, minor stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this video and move it on with our life. There are other opinions. For example, this one I also watch it around.
So anyways, why do these people not like Behringer? Firstly, they're ripping off the companies and engineers who originally created these classic hardware units by making the Behringer versions much more accessible to the consumer. Secondly, Behringer's social media, which is essentially the face of the brand, has been known to be a bit impulsive, insensitive, and is not always great at wording things in a way that avoids friction. One example of this is that because they're controversial, they get many comments with people expressing their frustration with Behringer's business practices, to which Behringer will respond not so graciously and at times more so on the side of offense than the defense of its.
I don't 100% believe this is as a matter of frustration for some people. I mean, if you spend something that costs barely $4,000 or euros or whatever your coin is, you made such an effort, and suddenly you're coming with something very cheap, selling thousands of these, and yeah, taking over the business. Of course, people have to make worth their money. As in a video of Oliver Scheller, there was a comment that says that actually, and he says yes. Well, if you want to address that, that is a valid comment, and yeah, for example, everybody wants to validate their purchase, but that doesn't mean you have to shut down any other's purchase as well. And yeah, I'm really agree with that, because you have to validate your purchase, but you cannot deny that this unit is also doing kind of a great job.
Integrity. Thirdly, some people just aren't convinced that Behringer has improved at all since the days of its subpar products. Of the three of those, probably the one that I hear the most is that Behringer is ripping off engineers like Rupert Neve by cloning other companies' products and selling them for much less than the original. But here's the problem. Many of these people with this complaint don't seem to be bothered by other companies who are doing the exact same thing, like Universal Audio or Warm Audio, and there are countless others as well. So if
Exhibit what I just made, Universal Audio, Warm Audio, many others have cloned exactly the same unit, and because Behringer is taking over on an affordable way, you are going to get crazy. Okay, let's face it, not all of their products have been a success. Like the Pultec, the Clark Technic series, actually this 369 KT stands for Clark Technic as well, but it seems to have an improvement into it. I mean, I'm waiting for my favorite reviewers until I buy one myself, because these videos, you may know, is not a sponsor, only for you if you like, subscribe and share this video, so please make sure you do it, or check the links in the description below in order to get some goodies. And White Sea Audio, Prosonic Studio, SMG Group with Glenn. These are people who have reviewed those units, and they really have a very, very serious gear in their studios, and a lot of years of experience, way much more than I can afford. And they actually say, yes, yeah, it doesn't compress in comparison with the original 1176. They didn't put it one-to-one. Some yes, some doesn't. But Pultec and 1176 is just like, yeah, if you want to start up somehow and get an impulsive buying, that will be for you a Clark Technic actually. But later, this is a buying that yes, you will regret. Because the problem with having an impulsive buying is that you get it right now, and eventually you want to improve, you want to check it. But when you want to sell that unit, you have to sell it for way much low price of what you bought it. And there's a problem of buying something that is not good or not good enough to be resold on a fair price point. So there is a price quality stuff that you must take care of, and therefore make your investigations first before you buy any unit.
if we don't have a problem with UA or Warm Audio replicating classic gear, maybe we should cut Behringer a little bit of slack for doing the exact same thing. The main difference I'm seeing here is that Behringer is quite a bit less expensive, which I don't really think is a bad thing for anybody.
And there is the thing, because Behringer is way less expensive and people are aiming to buy those things, yes, then companies are losing their minds. In another reviews, I also have this one, which is from the same guy of the first one, which is very contradictory. Talking about the Neve, I have to react to this because he was pretty neutral in the other one, but in this one he's kind of biased. But he's just joking around. He knows way much more than I can know about components and stuff like that. But it's just a general reaction. This is actually not something too serious. Let's check it out together.
So Behringer just announced their Neve clone, their 73-500, by announcing their new Behringer 73-500 series Neve clone. And, well, hey, I mean, again, when you copy technology that's this old, that is, outside of its patent window, then, I mean, I guess it's all fair game. But, and Behringer they just opened up like their 5th generation factory. So I guess they're pumping out Neve clones now. So.
And we're gonna be checking this nowadays because actually this video have been made before, but I just had to delete it for the fact that I just saw something to them during working hours that was amazing and really changed my mind. And it was an interview from Sweetwater to Uli Behringer itself, but we will check it later on.
So let's take a look at this video a little bit more, and let's see what we can see here. Okay, first of all, I just want to comment on one thing. So the Marconi knob here, this red knob, this is the wrong color red, and this plastic looks really cheap. Like it.
Because it's meant to be the wrong color, probably.
Does not have here. Let me show you. Hold on. This is like more like this is a cheap Chinese knockoff of a Marconi knob, but that's more of like the cardinal red as opposed to ketchup red. And this definitely looks a little bit more like a.
I'm not pro BYD or cars or Tesla or anything, but you just have to watch the market nowadays in 2025 to see who is ranking the higher point in sales at this moment. And saying that it's something is cheap Chinese, yeah, well, buying speak by itself, so money talks.
Like it looks almost like Bakelite, which was what they made those knobs out of in the day. That looks like cheap injection molded plastic. But hey,
This is Behringer 73. First developed in...
Okay, all right, so there's a whole bunch of stuff here in the video about, like showing you all the artists that work with 73s and all this marketing fluff. But let's really talk about the unit itself. So I think right about here, so we get back into it. Again, this close-up, extreme close-up on this cheap knob. This color here, very Neve-ish. You know, I don't mind it.
Whether you're a seasoned producer or just starting out, this preamp is going to give you that vibrant, analog richness that became a legend.
It's going to give you the sound that became a legend. They're not going to tell you you're going to become a legend. It's going to give you the sound that became a legend. The sound is a legend, but you know, you're whatever.
Well, I doubt hardly that you actually become a legend using Behringer products, especially when people is too biased at the moment that they see Behringer gear on your rack. Well, it's very difficult to have clients nowadays that way, eh?
Right, let's take a closer look. This is a compact, rugged piece of hardware designed to fit a 500 series rack. Its solid steel chassis gives it durability and provides isolation from other units in your setup, making it suitable.
That's actually a really good point. And one thing that kind of bugs me with some 500 series preamps is that they don't have that shielding that around the chassis. You know, that outer cover.
Finally something good, yes!
All right, it does help with shielding, so I mean, I'll give them that much. And also, I should point out right away.
Something else I wanted to address is that those units are very high priced, and in Sweetwater and Thomann they retail by $36.90 and $39.95. I mean, it's just crazy. Meanwhile, the Behringer 369 KT retails for $500, and we hear it already at the beginning. Why I say that? Well, let's pay attention to this at the moment. Let's go to quick research that I've made here for you. The minimum wage in United States is $58,656 per year, having a payment per week of $11.28. Those calculations do not fit, but well, this is a thing that you can search in Google. If we go to other countries, like for example in Spain, having a payment 14 times, I don't know, the year have 12 months, but they say they set up here 14 payments, is per month is $14.84. Okay, let's put it back again. $36.90. When are you going to buy this with $11.84 per month? Having to pay rent, having to pay insurance, having to pay thousand stuff, food, etc, etc, etc. And if you have kids, I don't want to imagine. And these are countries that we're talking about: the United States, Europe. Okay, let's face it, not everyone has the minimum loan in their head. But some of them have barely the minimum above. Some of them have way a lot, much more. So yes, they can afford they need. So is it that you having the Behringer against the Neve make you less professional than the other ones? Absolutely not, because at the end of the day, the knowledge that you get and the way you use it is what is gonna take you to the next level. Actually, there is my favorite YouTuber and a hashtag. Let me introduce you to Krivas. This is my favorite YouTuber / producer, which have demonstrated that you don't need anything, not even speakers, to have a success into the industry. Here, this is him producing for major labels, for major Latin American artists with his stuff, and I follow his career already long enough to give you the good view that he actually is a legit guy who produces very hard stuff. Here is a picture of him with Jason Joshua, he's being in the masterclass as well. I mean, We're talking about serious people here. Continuing with the minimum loan, I'm going now to Colombia. This is in their coin, which is called pesos, and when you translate it, you get $342. Even to afford the Behringer is just too much. How does the people over there to afford it? Okay, I just don't know. But let's face it, let's put it to normal people, to people who want to start their career. We have to open a path in order that these people can raise up their way into the industry as well. It should be a system. People get in, people get out. It is eventually like that. Who defines that? Well, unfortunately, the styles, unfortunately, the people, the quantity of tickets have been sold. The C19 stuff showed us how weak we are at the moment of having arranged all these things. So, yeah, I don't know. In every country should be arrangement for musicians and loans for artists and good things in careers, because at the moment you've got different academies where you can get a title as a professional into the music, but at the end of the day is the question, why are you doing that if there's no way for you to make it up? So yes, this is a subject that many people are looking up, because probably some of them are having it as a hobby, some others are having it as a hobby but looking for being professional. Some others are already professional. I'm seeking here for truth in order for you to take your best decision at the moment to buy or invest in any equipment, any changing your philosophy in this subject. So this is the thing in Colombia, and where I am at the moment, the minimum loan is like 14.06 per hour. And once we make the arrangement over here, we come around for 2200 or 2235, kind of, excluding taxes. So when you have those things, you arrive to 1800, having to pay rent, having to pay a lot of stuff. So it is crazy. I take the minimum loan because plenty of people who buy this gear are working hard in order to make their career a success. Also, there are some things with Harley Benton, which they say, of course, have to be wrong. Guitars of Harley Benton have to be bad. They are not bad at all. The only thing is that they do have some details that eventually, when a luthier start to open it up, they start to see stuff and they are like, there's a surprise. Here's the secret. So here is basically the thing with cheap stuff, that they are made good, they are made of quality. I mean, this guy here, the T-Bone SC1100, yeah, it's a good microphone. He's going through the Art and Pro MPA into the M audio interface. I mean, if you hear something wrong out of it, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. You are just a purist again of the audio. If you hear, for example, the room, yes, it is not acoustic treated, and it is at the moment working like this. But again, subjectivity is just the matter of all things into the music. What is right? What is wrong? We don't know. You should have an acoustic treated environment as long as you're gonna use speakers. I do have speakers. I do have good speakers. Problem is not acoustic treatment. I'm not going to invest on that at the moment. So I'm working with my headphones. Eventually I will buy, I don't know, a VSX, Olo Audio, or the Sennheiser HD650 or something like this. They are very good headphones, and they give you very good perspective at the moment of doing your mixes or checking out your mixes. I mean, how many people is doing out there their mixes, putting all plugins into the rack? Exactly. So it's the same thing as if you will mix with headphones. As long as you know what you're doing, everything should be fine. Now for closing, I'd like to take you to this interview I've been watching today of Uli Behringer, made by Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater, and I do really invite you to check this interview. It really it's just an historytelling. So let's watch some things together that I found interesting myself.
And we know how big some of the bass pipes are in the foot pedals and things. That had to be like resonating the whole...
Oh, man, I tell you, we probably got cracks in the wall. Definitely, I think we lost the friendship of some neighbors, I would think. But what really inspired me was the passion my dad had for this organ. Mm-hmm. And we're all products of our parents, aren't we? And
this guy is 64 years old. He's looking very younger than I do at the moment, actually.
I think that was the moment where he induced that passion in me. And again, being able to help him along the way. I think that's who I am today.
Well, that actually, speaking of the electronics and analog and digital and things, you have actually basically built a city in China, and you've been living there for how long now?
Well, city is a little bit exaggerated. It's a beautiful factory. I live there. I've been living there with some gaps in between. I live there now. Again, I was raised as a musician engineer, and what we do right now, we completely automate the factory. We reinvent the factory, putting the latest automation in there. And I like manufacturing. I walk the shop floor 3 times a day. I like to be hands-on, and something that I always enjoy, right? Seeing the products being built, and now the latest aspect of automating the factory to a point.
Being abused in China with cheap product stuff, yes, check.
It's called a light-out factory, basically. There's no people in it anymore. AGVs, robots, and so on. And that's one of the things on my bucket list I want to achieve in my life, to drive a factory that's state.
Children working hours and hours, check. Robots doing the job.
Of the art.
So I'm curious, with all of the products you developed, of course, the synthesizers are at the forefront. You've been releasing these lately, but of course, the digital mixer area is also an area where you really have jumped to the fore with the X series and with the Wing and all of those. Does that go back to your recording engineer passions?
Honestly, I'm extremely proud of a team that I have in Germany. They have been designing those products. They've been with me for nearly 30 years now. It's the same team. It's basically a handful of geniuses, passionate, beyond passionate. And they developed the X series, the Wing series now. And all I do is I try to support them whatever they need. I'm immensely proud of them. As you know, the X series has become the most successful digital mixer of all times, but by 100 miles.
Right.
We sold close to 1 million digital mixers. Wow. And believe it or not, we are so.
And I wanted to mention this very, very long before, but I wanted to this moment just to point it out. The fact that Behringer is selling way much more than many other brands in comparison, because the other brand sells to professionals. Behringer too, but Behringer is not considered super highly professional, even though eventually to any gig of the world that you go, you will see something Behringer standing on the stadium. And you're gonna tell me it's not for professionals, so you are not a professional yourself? Good question to leave on the air.
Selling more X32s today than when we started 12 years ago.
That's incredible.
I believe it's fair to say it's an industry standard.
Absolutely.
And more to come. And I take no credit in all of this. All the credit is.
He says it's an industry standard. I mean, Behringer consoles most of the time, the X series. Is it true? Is it not? Well, the Facebook group has to talk by itself, actually, showing up if this is a standard or not. If there is a group for that, there should be something on it. Problems, things good, things bad, tricks and hacks, etc., etc. A lot of things to do. Now I'd like to take you to his way of thinking. I mean, why does he do what he does?
I think we're all lucky to have grown.
Over we ever claim, but hopefully people will remember us for having brought all these jewels back to life.
Right.
Right? Because right now, how much would this stuff cost? I mean, you must have invested a fortune.
Yeah.
But then only a few people can afford those, and I think it's important to make them available, accessible to people.
This is important because there is the trick of the thing. You can't say Behringer is the top of the line, but why we call it the very beginning of the thing? And therefore we give a try to these young engineers, to these young persons, and just young people starting in the music world, and making sure that they are actually investing in something good. Why? Because it just sounds good, or sounds good enough to them. The most important that you're gonna grab out of my video is that you're gonna listen, you're gonna learn to listen what is good for yourself. Nowadays you cannot search on YouTube and go wrong with things. I mean, you can always have YouTube compression and stuff like that, but there is something that doesn't define the thing, the character of an unit. There's a lot of videos of the art Pro-VLA, for example. I encourage you to watch them, including mine, and you will see that the character is exactly the same. There is not about YouTube compression or whatever whatsoever. The sound that it brings, it's just the same. Doesn't matter what you run into it, you always will hear this art Pro-VLA character. So the same will be for any unit of Behringer, SSL Boss Plus, which I'm really looking for after that unit a lot. And furthermore, making things affordable in order that people who can't afford that $3,000 stuff can actually begin good into their craft.
Who do not have deep pockets. Right? And I think that's something we strongly feel about. And that's the purpose why we exist.
Right. Well, that's been your philosophy for forever, I guess. I remember the motto, twice as many features at half the cost was it, and giving access to customers, clearly that these kinds of instruments to your customers, clearly that also feeds your passion. It makes you excited. I mean, it's fun to watch how excited you get about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you have to have a purpose. You need to have a reason to get up. And it can't be money. It can't be business. I don't care. Right? It's about doing something for customers. And if you do that, and you know this very well, then people will reward you. Right? Profit and money and all this stuff is a consequence, but it's not a purpose.
Right.
And we have a very simple say that the way we price our products is that we look at the cost and we add a small profit on top of it, and that's the sales price. So we don't go out like most competitors say, how much could I charge and get away with it? We say it doesn't matter. We just take the cost, add a small margin, and that's the sale price. Customers will appreciate it, and you have a long-term or a lifetime customer, and that's what matters.
That's what we're all about, right?
Is it wrong or is it right? I mean, if they continue doing such a good stuff, I mean, I'm looking also after at the X series Behringer console, but now that I'm thinking it would be nice to have the winged one. I really haven't in some shops here in the Netherlands. I have tried one of them, and it's just great. The faders feels just amazing from the winged console. The X series, of course, have to make some improvements, but wait a second. This is something that begins to be made in 2012. More than 10 years by now. Is this unit old and this being manufactured the same way? So of course the wing has to feel kind of better stuff. You want something to rule your studio, to be your control surface. This is kind of the thing of the way to go, because eventually you will invest in digital controller that need actually the power of your CPU, but if you don't have a good CPU, which you have to change every 4 years, 5 years, do updates and stuff, and program obsolescence that everyone knows that into our digital stuff are implemented. Yeah, you have a good point. So do you want something good that lasts forever, or something bad that stays good for some time, just a bit, or something very good that stays good for some time? With that I mean, do we want to use more CPU power, or do you want to use more electricity power? I mean, I choose for electricity. If you ask me, nowadays the key is to be hybrid. If you go hybrid, you can't go wrong.
You mentioned accessibility with these instruments. I always remind people, because I teach a lot of students,
right,
and I always explain the synthesizer was never meant to be a keyboard instrument. It is an instrument, and keyboard is one of the many controllers you could put to it.
Right.
But unfortunately, from the day that the mini mode came out, like
something else, and you don't have a patch, so later on, right, you know that it's a snapshot of a sound you may never get back, and that's a whole different experience than just recalling a preset at times, right? I talk a lot to customers, and they share that with me and said, actually, they don't want to have patch memory for exactly that reason, because they know it's a momentum, they enjoy that sound, and then tomorrow something different.
But always get a high-res recording of it.
Anyway, they leave clear that they listen very carefully to their customers, and that is very important for continue being a legit brand into the market. So, well, I don't have too many final thoughts. Maybe in a new video. There are some new videos coming along. One of is a microphone, and the other is a channel strip. You're gonna like it a lot. And well, I'm still editing actually. At the moment, I just had to came up with this Behringer stuff and put my things on the table, telling you some facts that you shouldn't take for granted. The things that you have are sponsored by your job, and the moment you start to get paid, eventually for your customer, your fan base, or etc, etc. At the moment, if it's something sponsored by your job, anything you buy should be price quality or good enough to start. So, well, that's been Air1 Productions for today. Please don't take it personal. I just wanted to see different things around on the internet, put them all together and bring it to you in order that you feel secure. If you are willing to invest in that Behringer 369 KT or in the preamp as well, just do it. You can do it. For the fact that it's very good for the price. At the beginning of this video we compared against the plugin of Universal Audio. It's not superior, it's just different. Let me know if you like this video. Please like, subscribe and share this video in order to other people also become secure about their purchases. And if you like this video, let me know in the comments below. So this being Air1 Production for today. I hope you like it, and I see you the next one. And I really invite you to. With who are you going to work to? Dua Lipa, Dr. Drew, Eminem. I mean, there are so many artists that you're not going to work at the moment. I mean, if you want to buy this Behringer, please just do it. If you can afford that, just do it. If you can afford the need, also great.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.